Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 30th favorite dad in the family community, Papa West, Jacob West. You can see Shaq's finger. He's still here with us. He's not on camera, like he's a little shy at the moment. But no, my wife is commandeering the table for the next couple weeks. So we might be doing TMG Takes the Field on my couch. We'll see. Um, no matter what's going on, the show must go on because this is a very important, very reputable football talk show. But it is our weekly episode where we talk about college football and pro football and any sports going on, but there's at least major stuff going on. Um, Basketball, we're kind of in the main part, or we're beginning part of the season. We've been playing for a couple of weeks. Celtics beat the Cavaliers. Cavaliers have been undefeated for a while. They lost to the Celtics, so that's news, I guess. That's all the basketball news I know right now. Sorry, guys. I'll have more later. Yeah, we'll do more later. But we are going to talk about college football. Again, talk about last week, see how the rankings are. Talk about the top five or the Power Five, which is actually only like 3 or 4 conferences. See what their conference championships looking like because we're getting pretty close, very very close. So just talking about games that happened on Saturday. We had Ohio State beating Northwestern 31-7, Texas beating Arkansas 20-10, Colorado beating Utah 49-24, Clemson beating Pitt 24-20, Tulane beating Navy 35-0, Alabama beat Mercer 52-7, Penn State beat Purdue 49-10, Notre Dame beat Virginia 35-14, SMU beat Boston College 38-28. Skip those. Boise State beat San Jose State 42-21. Oregon beat Wisconsin 16-13, avoiding a major upset. Texas A&M beat New Mexico State 38-3. And then we have a couple ranked versus ranked matchups. Sorry, I had to read a message, so kind of focused on that. South Carolina and Missouri. South Carolina beat Missouri 34-30. And then we had the Texas-Georgia game, a very exciting SEC game. Georgia was victorious 31-17. Then we do have a couple upsets to talk about. BYU undefeated no more. They lost to Kansas 17-13. Washington State traveled to New Mexico and lost 38-35. Kansas State was at home against Arizona State. Arizona State's on fire right now, winning 24-14. LSU traveling to Florida. Florida won 27-16. And then the 19 Louisville Cardinals taking on Stanford, the Cardinal, proving that you don't need that S. Stanford winning 38-35. So a lot of fun games, some really close games again. Oregon almost got upset against Wisconsin, but was able to hold on. A lot of implications as far as the conference championship goes, which also means the college football playoffs. So the first conference we're going to talk about is the ACC. SMU is currently in the lead, currently in first place at 6-0. Then you have Clemson at 7-1, Miami at 5-1. Pitt was kind of in the mix. They have had a 3-game losing streak. They are out of the ACC championship game with 3 losses now. SMU, pretty easy ride. They have Virginia, which is a 5-5 team. California also at 5-5. So the big question is Clemson or Miami. And the really crazy thing is Clemson has played all their ACC games. So they have the Citadel and they have South Carolina are their last 2 matchups. So regardless, they can't lose and be out of the championship game. Then we have Miami. They still have Wake Forest and Syracuse. So Miami and SMU both have 2 more games left in ACC play. Clemson is done. So it would be very interesting as if everybody wins out. Because then you have Clemson and Miami, both with the same records as far as ACC play. If both teams win out, Clemson would have 2 losses, Miami would have 1. I would assume that would give Miami a little bump over Clemson. Also, Miami is ranked higher. Ranking doesn't really matter as much, but I'd be curious to see who they give it to. I would assume they'd give it to Miami. All right, next we're going to move on to the Big 12. Standings are loading right now. There we go. So right now, in first place, tied, we have BYU and Colorado. Colorado's been pretty electric as of late. They've been on a nice little hot streak. Good winning streak too. BYU has looked pretty bad the last couple weeks. Again, getting that loss against Kansas last week. So we'll see if they can bounce back. They do have Arizona State coming up, which again, Arizona State's one of the hottest teams in the Big 12 right now. So that'll be an interesting matchup. Plus, it's in Tempe, which is where Arizona State plays. So that will be very tough for them. And then they play Houston, which has been kind of bottom of the barrel as far as Big 12 goes. Colorado, they have Kansas, again, riding high after that win against BYU, and then Oklahoma State. But if anybody's hotter than Arizona State right now, it's Colorado. You do also have Arizona State and Iowa State in technically second place, but third and fourth at 5-2. Arizona State, we just kind of talked about them. They do have BYU coming up, and then they have Arizona. So if they beat BYU, they're in the conference championship as long as they hold on against Arizona. And then Iowa State has Utah and then Kansas State. So Iowa State still has a chance. If Arizona State beats BYU and then loses to Arizona, BYU losing their next 2 games, even if they lose against BYU or if they lose to Arizona State and then beat Houston, they might still give it to Iowa State. So 4 teams still very much in it, and then 2 of them play each other. So that's always fun because those matchups mean even more. Next, we're going to move on to Big Ten. We still have Oregon and Indiana, both undefeated. Oregon, obviously, number 1 overall seed. They do have a bye week, and then they play Washington in Oregon. Washington's been very hard to beat at home, but they are playing them away. So hopefully there's a little – it's easier to play in Onsen than it is wherever Washington plays. Indiana, obviously, we talked a little bit about it last week. They have a big matchup against Ohio State coming up this Saturday. And then after that, they'll be taking on Purdue. So Ohio State's going to be a really tough matchup. Plus, it's in Columbus. Ohio State does not lose in Columbus a lot. And hey, you have to win that game if you want the championship, because if they lose, Ohio State takes their spot. And then Ohio State also with 1 loss, they have Indiana, just like we said, and then they end their season at home against Michigan, which would be very interesting. Michigan's on a 3-game winning streak in that rivalry. Granted, this is the first time in like 8 years without Harbaugh. Michigan has not been as good as what they've been in the past couple years, so we'll see how that game goes. And then also in the race, we do still have Penn State. They still have Minnesota and Maryland. So again, two very easy winnable games for them. But that big one, Indiana versus Ohio State, you would have to assume you win and you're in. Granted, Ohio State could win and then lose to Michigan, which would then give them 2 losses in Big Ten play, which would kick them out. So that'll be a fun game. And then anytime Michigan and Ohio State plays, that's always a fun game to watch. All right, and then the last conference we will talk about, at least for right now, is the SEC. As soon as it loads for me. My phone has been super slow lately. It's great, especially because I'm on it a lot. Which is probably one reason why it's slow. There we go. So we have in first place, tied in first place, Texas and Texas A&M, both at 5-1. Then you have Georgia at 6-2, Tennessee at 5-2, Alabama and Ole Miss at 4-2. Texas, two more games. They have Kentucky, and then they have Texas A&M. Texas A&M has two more games. They have Auburn, and then they end it with Texas. Obviously, that last game where they play each other could very well be a win and you're in. It could also be a lose and you're in. So they play each other twice in a row. That being said, Georgia is done in conference play. They have played all of their games. They still have Massachusetts and Georgia Tech. So their season's not done. Next, we have Tennessee. They have a non-conference matchup against UTEP, and then they play Vanderbilt, which is going to be an interesting game because Vanderbilt's been very tough. Alabama has Oklahoma and Auburn. And then Ole Miss still has Florida and Mississippi State. I do believe mathematically there's a way both Missouri, LSU, and Vanderbilt, all at 3-3 in SEC play. I believe mathematically there's a way one of those three teams could be in, but it's very, very unlikely. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Georgia not to be in it. As Texas and Texas A&M do play each other because they both have one loss. If they get that second loss Georgia has a tiebreaker over Texas because Georgia slobber knocked Texas earlier in the year. They didn't play Texas A&M, so there's no tiebreaker there. But you'd have to assume Georgia's at number 10, Texas A&M's at number 15. Especially having a loss that late, definitely is gonna. You gotta say that Georgia should be in it. And then maybe if both Texas and Texas A&M lose that game before they play each other, then there's definitely a way we see Georgia playing in there. And then really even with Tennessee, I don't after Georgia beat Tennessee, I don't see a way Tennessee makes it. Unless Texas and Texas A&M both lose their next game. And then still, I think you'd give it to the winner of the Texas A&M game and then to Georgia. So the SEC still kind of crazy that all that a good majority of the teams are in it. But you have to admit it's going to be between Texas and Texas A&M versus Georgia. The only way I could see it being a Texas A&M rematch is if it's like a 1-point game, 1 or 2. If it's super super close, then maybe. But Texas would have to win because if Texas loses, Georgia has that tiebreaker. All right. Next, we'll go ahead and talk about some news for college football. I'll go ahead and talk about the rankings for. Come on. College football playoff rankings did drop earlier today. So our top 4 is Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, and Penn State. Then we have Indiana, Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, Boise State, SMU, BYU, Texas A&M, Colorado, Clemson, South Carolina, Army, Tulane, Arizona State, Iowa State, Missouri, UNLV, and Illinois. But we don't really care about the whole ranking. We just care about the top 12 because it is only the 12 teams that go in. And it's not even necessarily the top 12 ranked teams because you have to give a nod to most of the conference champions. So right now, the way our college football playoffs is looking, if the season ended today, you would have Oregon being the number one seed, Texas being the number two. They have Miami at three, which is very interesting considering Miami is not in the lead as far as the ACC goes. And then Boise State at four. Well, that's your top four. Then you have Ohio State at five. They'd be playing number 12 BYU. Notre Dame at eight. They'd be playing number nine Alabama. Penn State's at six. They'd be taking on Georgia at 11th. Indiana at seven with Ole Miss at 10. Huge issue with this, in my opinion, is SMU. According to their rankings, SMU's at number 13, so they would be one of those with the first one out. But SMU is undefeated currently. They are number one, or they're not undefeated. They have one loss. But that one loss was against BYU back in September. So you'd have to you'd have to say SMU should be ranked quite a bit higher, especially if they'll probably play Miami in the ACC championship game. If they beat Miami, obviously they'll be in the top four. But I do find it very interesting that you have Ole Miss in there. A lot of people are upset that Georgia's in there. Um, I'm kind of surprised that BYU is in there. I think they would give the edge to Colorado. But hey, good news is college football playoff rankings today mean absolutely nothing. All right, now we're going to look at the Heisman race so far. All right, so currently number one in the Heisman race is Travis Hunter out of Colorado, the cornerback wide receiver. He's at minus 350, which pretty much means if you make a $10 bet, your winnings is going to be $3.50. So he is the odds-on favorite right now. Very likely that he will win it. But hey, we still have a couple more weeks left. He could play horrible in the next couple weeks. Next we have Ashton Genty. Had a phenomenal game this last week. Ran for 3 touchdowns, 159 yards against San Diego State. He's at plus 390. And that's really it as far as being close. Cam Ward, who has kind of been hit or miss, whether he's been the favorite or not, he's at plus 1,400. Curtis Rourke, quarterback for Indiana, is at plus 3,000. I cannot let you be here. Back away. So we temporarily adopted a cat to take care of a little problem that we have. And he's going to come say hi. Okay. Drop the tablet. Sorry about that. But that's what happens when you have animals and you do a live YouTube show. All right, Curtis Rourke is at plus 3,000. So very unlikely, but again, a great game against Ohio State. And then to finish off against Purdue, which Purdue is a very easy team to beat. If he plays great in those games and then the Big Ten Championship plays great, might have a chance. And then Dylan Gabriel is at plus 3,500. He's been kind of, especially as of late, pretty high up in the rankings. But right now, it's looking like it's going to be Travis Hunter. Ashton Genty, there's that little possibility he makes it. But it looks like your Heisman winner this year will be Travis Hunter. Next, we will be talking about games happening next week. So we have Friday, we have UNLV, the number 24 ranked team, taking on San Jose State, and then moving on to Saturday. Number 12, Boise State's taking on Wyoming. Number 8, Miami taking on Wake Forest. Number 9, Ole Miss taking on Florida. 13, SMU's taking on Virginia. Number 25, Illinois is taking on Rutgers. Number 10, Georgia's taking on Massachusetts. Number 11, Tennessee is taking on UTEP. Number 3, Texas is taking on Kentucky. Number 4, Penn State's taking on Minnesota. Number 16, Colorado's taking on Kansas. 17, Clemson's taking on the Citadel. Number 18, South Carolina's taking on Wofford. Number 23, Missouri's taking on Mississippi State. Number 7, Alabama's taking on Oklahoma. Number 15, Texas A&M is taking on Auburn. Number 22, Iowa State's taking on Utah. And we do have quite a bit of ranked versus ranked matchups. The big Cinderella this year has been Army. They are taking on Notre Dame. Army is number 19. Notre Dame's at 6. Number 14, BYU is taking on number 21, Arizona State. And then I believe there's one more. Yep. Number 5, Indiana is taking on number 2, Ohio State. So very exciting games happening next week. And again, like always, huge college football playoff. I can't think of the word. I've said the word implications. Huge college football playoff implications as far as what happens after this week. But that has been us talking about college football. Now we'll talk about the NFL. Very fun week last week. I had a lot of fun last week. We tried to take some pictures. I had the games going, so I definitely paid attention to all the pictures. But we had Thursday night a very fun game in which the Eagles beat the Commanders 26-18. Jalen Hurts, 221 yards passing. Saquon Barkley, 146 yards rushing. 2 touchdowns in like the span of 30 seconds. Jaden Daniels did play very well, 191 yards passing, a touchdown, did throw an interception though. And then the Sunday games, the surprise of the year, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody counted them out before the season started. They are currently AFC North champs. They beat Baltimore 18-16. A huge thing here is Justin Tucker, usually an electric kicker, has missed quite a bit. He missed, I believe, at least 2 kicks. And then Chris Boswell, here's the fun thing. Well, yes, the Steelers won 18-16. They scored no touchdowns, just strictly 6 field goals to win it. But hey, when you have a kicker, use them, right? Next, we have not really the surprise of the year. We knew they'd be good. We just didn't think they'd be this good. The Detroit Lions destroyed the Jacksonville Jaguars 52-6. If you had, I was listening to Rich Eisen. If you had a Lions player on your fantasy team, congratulations, you probably won. If you had 2 Lions players on your team, you definitely won. I have a league where I had both Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown, so I definitely won that. I was the top scorer of the week. It was great. Jared Goff, horrible performance last week in a win. Great performance this week. 412 yards, 4 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 2 of them with 161 yards. And David Montgomery, 75 yards and 2 touchdowns running. Next, we have the Rams going to New England, beating the Patriots 28-22. This is another fun, a very highlight-filled game. I know Cooper Kupp had a 69-yard passing touchdown, was just wide open. Nobody near him. Stafford had a great game, 295 yards, 4 touchdowns. Drake May is looking really good too, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns. Very excited to see what he does in his career. Hopefully not with the Patriots, because let's be honest, the Patriots being a bad team is great for football right now. All right, the Saints playing the Browns. Taysom Hill was great. If you had him in fantasy, you probably won. Saints winning 35-14. Taysom Hill, 3 yards rushing. I think that's all. Yep, 3 yards rush, 3 touchdowns, rushing, 138 yards. I believe he had a couple passes, both thrown and caught. Derek Carr, 248 yards, passing, 2 touchdowns. One to Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I didn't realize he was a Saint. And then last week, he popped off a couple nice touchdowns against the Falcons. So it's very exciting to see him. I'm not gonna say play on a good team because he doesn't really play on a good team, but playing some meaningful games and being a playmaker for a team, something he hasn't really done since he was with the Packers a while ago. All right, next we have the toilet bowl, the Colts versus the Jets. And because somebody had to win, Anthony Richardson, with like 46 seconds left, ran it in for a touchdown to get the 1 point lead. They did go for two to try to make it a 3 point lead, but they failed. That being said, they did not fail in winning. They beat the Jets 28-27. I picked the Jets to win the Super Bowl, or not to win the Super Bowl, but to go to the Super Bowl. Man, was I wrong. They look bad. They're not even gonna have a winning season this year. It's horrible. Next we have the Vikings taking on the Titans. Vikings have been kind of having a little rough stretch going, which is really bad, especially because they had their great start of the year. A lot of people are saying it's the Sam Darnold pumpkin tour. Not a horrible performance, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns. Vikings get the win 23-13. Next, we have the Raiders traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Tua, proven that he shouldn't retire. He shouldn't retire. 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, leads the Dolphins to a win, 34-19. Very, very close, exciting game. Um, we won't tell Tato about this. The Packers taking on the Bears. The Packers haven't lost the Bears in like 5 years. He'll know like the exact number, but it's been like 7,000 days, I think. And this might be since the Packers lost at Soldier Field. It was very, very close. In fact, there was a field goal to end the game. And just like last week, we had a blocked kick. Packers getting the win 20-19, which means just the whole franchise is the Chiefs' dad. Um, Aaron Rodgers famously said he owns the Bears. No, it's just the Broncos franchise that owns the Bears. Again, we won't tell Tato our thoughts and feelings about it. Then a interesting game because these are supposed to be two great teams playing each other. The Falcons traveling to Denver to take on the Broncos. The Broncos destroyed 38-6. I had a couple friends at this game, and just they were very post is like, if you're going to go to a game, this is the game to go to because Bo Nix looked great, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. Javonte Williams, oh, why'd you move? 59 yards and a touchdown. The offense was clicking, the defense was stopping. If you're going to go to a game, that was the game to go to. Broncos getting the win 38-6. Then we have the fun NFC West rivalry. The Seahawks traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. Very back and forth game. Geno Smith, 221 yards. Brock Purdy, 159 yards and a touchdown to Juwan Jennings, 91 yards. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 110. Kenneth Walker, 54 yards and a touchdown. Somehow it was very back and forth. The Seahawks getting the win with 12 seconds left, 20-17. Then we had the Chiefs traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Chiefs were underdogs. A lot of people thought that was strange considering the Chiefs have been undefeated so far. And it was very close. Regardless of what the score says, because it was a 9-point win, so a 2-possession win. It was still a very close game, very fun, exciting game. Chiefs losing. They are not chasing a perfect season anymore. Josh Allen leads the Bills to a 30-21 win. And then a very crazy game Sunday night. You had the Chiefs, or not the Chiefs, wow, the Chargers taking on the Bengals in Los Angeles. Let's be honest, Los Angeles doesn't play at home. At one point, it was 27-6. The Chargers were winning. Didn't look like the Bengals were going to be able to get close. But the Bengals able to get 3 touchdowns to get a 27-27 tie. But they couldn't put away the Chargers. Chargers get a late touchdown to win the game 34-27 to hold on after almost blowing the biggest lead in Sunday Night Football history. The only team other than the Bengals hoping they would blow that lead would be the Falcons, because the Falcons are tired of the 28-3. But guess what, Falcons fans, you're never going to live down the 28-3. It's always going to happen. And then we had Monday Night Football, the Texans taking on the Cowboys. This was very close at the first half. At the end of the first half, it was 17-10. Texans were winning. Very close game. And then the second half happened. The Texans had some great plays on defense. Couldn't be stopped on offense. They do get the win, 34-10. The Texans own the state of Texas, at least for this year. And then the Cowboys just looking bad. Obviously, they don't have Dak Prescott, so that's not going to help. But this team looks defeated. Rumor mill going on right now is that the Cowboys are going to try to be in a position to draft Shedeur Sanders and then hire Deion Sanders to be their new coach. Obviously, Mike McCarthy is their coach right now. Dak Prescott's their main quarterback, highest paid quarterback in the league. But you have to think if you have a chance for Deion and Shedeur, you have to take it. So very interesting to see what happens this offseason, because if you're a Cowboys fan, you should look towards the offseason because that's the only hope that your team has. As far as mine and Tato's season predictor challenge goes, we were different on 2 games. Both the Colts Jets and then the Broncos Falcons. One of us got both of those games right. I'm hoping he would hop back on so I could see the look on his face when I tell him it was me. I got both of those games right. So I finished last week at 11-3. Tato finished at 9-5. Bringing my overall record to 111-55 versus Tato's 104-62. I now have a 7-game advantage going in to week 12. But that being said, I've had a week where I got like 7 wrong. So it's still anybody's competition because it's not really a game, but it kind of is a game. And then I don't think we have much as far as news go. Oh, hey, I just started looking at this. Jets are in the news again. Jets fire GM Joe Douglas. So the Jets are kind of a dumpster fire. Again, I think the whole firing Robert Saleh, horrible move, because he's the only person with a winning attitude in that locker room right now. So Joe Douglas is out. And then the other news we'll talk about in the Giants game a little bit more. Daniel Jones is not going to start for the Giants this week. Tommy DeVito, I think that's who their backup is. Tommy DeVito has been announced as their starter for this week as they play the Buccaneers. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring Tato in. Tato, how's it going?
Hey, how we doing? Just closing
Hey,
some tabs here, paying attention. Yeah, Tommy Cutlets coming in, Tommy DeVito, as it were. And Drew Lock will be the backup. Daniel Jones playing third string.
that's crazy. Any thoughts on the Jets news that we talked about?
I don't know, man. I hope Henry's happy.
No,
Spoiler
I
alert,
I
he's
hope
not. You want to
he's
know how
not
I know
happy.
he's not? Because I'm not, and we're in the same position. I mean, different. We're in varying shades of shit. But it's a similar camp.
Yes, very very true. But I don't know if you heard. We were different on two games last week. I did get both
Yes,
of those games right, so I now have a
I
seven
actually
game
paid
advantage.
attention to that.
Okay,
Even though I
all
didn't
right.
watch the game, I remember it. I was like, F beans.
Yes. And then any thoughts that you want to share about last week?
Yeah, I mean, I will talk about the Bears Packers. Like I said, I'm not dipping out from that first half of the show to run away from my feelings. You can't do that. Been a rough month, man. But that's being a Bears fan. You have rough months, you have rough years. Yeah, like it's like that Friends song. When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year,
Yeah.
or even your decade. That's the next that's in the second verse. They don't sing that part on the show. Or even your past 40 years, roughly.
Yes.
In my case. Um, your whole lifetime, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Rough shake to lose on a blocked field goal, but that's just like it's just bad coaching, man. Broken record at this point. I don't know how many times you got to say it, but like, it's like we have 40 seconds. Maybe we should try to inch the ball closer and kick a 30-yard field goal instead of a 46-yard field goal. That seems like a good strategy. I'm no mathematician or anything, but it is what it is, I guess. Like
Yeah.
at this point, like I wasn't even mad. Like I've been driven to apathy at this point.
All right. I'll take it. I'll take it. So then let's get into our week 12 predictions. Starting off with our Thursday night games. Games. There's only one game happening Thursday night. Come on, Papa. What are we doing here? The Steelers are traveling to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Steelers are 4.5 point favorites. Also to note, the Steelers are 4-1 away. Browns are 1-4 home. Steelers have only had one division game. This was last week, where the Browns have had a couple of division games. But I'm going to go ahead and go first on this. I thought this would be a nice little bounce back win for the Steelers. You play the Ravens, who are a far superior team. You lose to them. But then you bounce back and you beat the Browns. But then these Steelers beat the Ravens and they look decent. Even if they can't score a touchdown against the Ravens. If you get more points, you get more points. Um, they're playing the Browns. The Browns are trash. Jameis Winston is trash. Steelers win by 2 possessions. Taylor, what do you have?
Yeah, that tracks. Steelers.
All right. Next, we just kind of talked about it a little bit. The Buccaneers are traveling to New Jersey to take on the Giants. Buccaneers are 5.5 point favorites. Giants sitting Daniel Jones. Other note: Buccaneers are 2-2 away. Giants are 0-5 at home. They have not win so far. 5 losses. Tato. Oh, this is horrible timing. Well, I guess I will.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I really badly want to take Tommy Cutlets here, like just to get that win in New Jersey. Doing, just it would be beautiful. I'm taking the Buccaneers though.
I'm about to say it would be a very Giants thing to do. Uh, Everybody's counting you out against the Buccaneers, who don't have either of their two wide receivers. Their biggest receiving threat right now is their tight end, the great Cade Otton. That sentence has never been uttered before. And then their magical running back, Bucky Irving. That has never been said before either. Um, I want to give it to the Giants, but at the same time, it's Baker Mayfield. The dude puts you in a position to win every single week, even if you're down 42-0. He's playing out there trying to get you the win. And it's like, dude, there's 2 minutes left. We're down by 6 touchdowns. You can't win. He's like, I'm gonna win us this game. It's gonna be great. Um, he does great against bad teams. The Giants are a very bad team. Tampa Bay gets the win. All right. Next, we have the Chiefs versus the Panthers. Chiefs are 10.5-point favorites. I saw a picture last week that said, could you imagine the Chiefs having this great undefeated season just to lose to Bryce Young and the Panthers? Well, guess what? That's not happening anymore because the Chiefs lost. But what a way to bounce back versus Bryce Young and the Panthers. I do think that this might be a little trap game, but it's not going to be a little trap game. Chiefs get the win.
Yeah, the team I will never pick against versus the team that I will never pick. And that has led me to 3 defeats versus 20 plus wins this season, something in that, or like 18 wins maybe. Something in that range. I don't know exactly how many teams or how many games each team has played, but yeah, Chiefs.
Right. Next, we have the Cowboys traveling to Washington to take on the Commanders. Right now, the Commanders are 10.5-point favorites. Tana, what's your pick on this one?
Yeah, Commanders are good. Cowboys are not. Commanders.
Part of me wants to say like the Cowboys could have a chance. Because one thing we have seen is that Jaden Daniels struggles against good defenses. And ever since Micah Parsons has been back for both those games he's been back, he's done great in the first half. Just doesn't do anything the second half. That defense looks good the first half. They can't stop a nosebleed in the second half. But then if you look at what the Cowboys struggle against, everything, but mainly the run game. And the Commanders have a really good run game. Well, I would love for this to be a trap game and the Commanders get the loss. I cannot give it to them. I think the Commanders beat the Cowboys pretty bad, but it's going to be a close first half. All right. Next, we have the Patriots traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins. Dolphins are 7-point favorites. I'll go first on this one. Both Tua and Drake May have been looking really good, which has been a nice surprise as far as Drake May goes. Obviously,
one second. You said Pat's Dolphins?
Yes.
Okay, I missed that pick. 1 second. What did you say the line was?
The Dolphins are 7-point favorites.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
We're good.
Do you have? Yep. Okay, sweet. I will say Drake May has looked very good, which is surprising when he's throwing to Kendrick Bourne, Demario Davis, and Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry's a decent tight end. I'll give him that. But I really like Tua's weapons. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle is the I'll say the second best wide receiver duo in the NFL. Um, I think the Dolphins and not a super close game either. What are you thinking, Tato?
Yeah, I will also take the Dolphins here, and more than just a line. Like they've been good since Tua's been back, per my understanding. Even though I'm not fully updated on last week.
They beat the Raiders by quite a bit. So, all right. Next, we have the Titans traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. Texans are 8-point favorites. Tato, you're going to go first on this one.
I do have the Texans getting it done here.
Nice. I think this one's gonna be a lot closer than that 8-point spread. The Titans have had a decent defense this year, and the Texans have have struggled against good defenses. But again, Will Levis is your quarterback. What are we doing here, guys? It's gonna be a one possession game. But it's gonna be like a 6-7 point win. I do have the Texans getting the win here. Next, we have the Lions taking on the Colts in Indianapolis. Lions are 7-point favorites. I will go first on this one. The Lions, the luckiest team in the NFL right now, because they played 2 games outside. Indianapolis famously plays inside. And Jared Goff is just a different quarterback when he's playing inside. And it's going to be sad because they're going to make the Colts cry. I can't wait to see what Seth DeFlo has for us on his weekly episode or his weekly video where he sings a song about the Colts. But I hope he said, let's at least not lose by 50 because that's really their only hope is to not lose by more than 50 points. I have the Lions, and I think that spread is they'll easily get more than that.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. Lions, double digits, just another kneecap biting massacre. Colts have 4 kneecaps to bite.
Yes. I did hear something very interesting this morning. I think I was listening to First Take, and whoever it was said the Lions are not that good of a team. They are just really good at embarrassing bad teams. It's like if you look at it, the teams that they are embarrassing are actually kind of bad teams. And guess what? The Colts, they're a bad team. So regardless of how you feel the Lions are, they're good at embarrassing bad teams. All right. Next we have the Vikings taking on the Bears at Soldier Field. Tato, we're gonna have you go first on this one.
Yeah, I actually sat and gave this one some thought and shit. Like, as I said about the Packers game, the Packers aren't just going to beat the shit out of the Bears. It's going to be there in the fourth quarter and then break my heart. I mean, I said it. It happened. So like maybe I could speak some positivity into the Bears, but I am going to take the Vikings, which I can say at least.
All right. Now my turn. Oh, the Vikings are 3.5-point favorites. Forgot to say that. So pretty close spread on this one. I think we are starting to witness the Sam Darnold is a pumpkin tour. And I think we see it full force in this game. I think he's going to look very bad. He's going to have some decent stats because when you have Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones, you get decent stats. But I think the Bears have not been playing as good as what they've been expecting to do. And I really think that Eberflus gets them in a little bit better mentality this week. And it's like, hey, who cares what just happened? Let's play this week like our season depends on it. Because guess what? Their season kind of depends on it. I do think that again, this is the Sam Darnold's a pumpkin tour. I have the Bears getting the win. I think it'll be close, but I think the Bears get the win. All right, next we have the first of the 4:00 games. The Broncos are traveling to Vegas to take on the Raiders. Broncos are 5.5-point favorites. I'm going to go first on this one. I'm not going to correct what I said at the beginning point of the season where I said Bo Nix is trash, because Bo Nix is still kind of trash. He's been playing great, but he has a really great coach. And he has some good, pretty okay weapons. But game has to respect game. Bo Nix has been playing very well as of late. And when you're playing the Raiders, if you're playing decent, you're going to destroy the Raiders. So I have the Broncos winning this one. What about you, Tato?
Yep, I have Broncos as well. Bo Nix, slightly less trash than we anticipated, maybe, but
I'll say this is very much easy schedule Oregon Bo Nix as opposed to SEC Bo Nix, as I thought we would see. All right, next we have the 49ers traveling to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Packers are 2.5-point favorites. Tato, what are your thoughts on this one?
now I'm not going into full Hail Mary mode here to catch up on you yet. It's a 6. You're up on me by 6 games, is it? Or
7.
7? Shit. Yeah. But I am going a little like this is where I was like, what's Papa gonna do? Can I counter successfully? I picked the Niners here. I went against the spread. You have been you've been on and off on the Niners, and you've been relatively high on the Packers. So like this one's where I'm kind of like close game. So I'm going Niners and hoping you went Packers.
Okay. Bold strategy, Tato. Yes, I've been very, very mixed on the 49ers. And the reason why I've been very mixed on the 49ers is because I don't know if the 49ers are great or if they're horrible. Because sometimes they play great and sometimes they play horrible. And what I've noticed is it doesn't matter who they're playing. They're either gonna be great or they're gonna suck. But you know who's not that way? The Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers have been playing very good this year. Even when Jordan Love was injured, Malik Willis got wins, played great. I don't see how the Packers don't win this game. It's in Lambeau. We're starting to get cold weather outside. I think it's going to be tough for the 49ers. I have the Packers winning. Bold strategy, Tato. We'll see how this pays off. Oh, come on. Go to the right screen. All right. And then another game. I don't know how to predict. But we'll see what you're thinking. The Cardinals traveling to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. It's a close game. Seahawks are 1-point favorites. This is basically a pick 'em. But one thing that I have noticed, Cardinals are 2-2 away. Seahawks are 2-4 at home. So none of the team's really playing good. But for some reason, my mind is just telling me to go with the Seahawks. So I'm gonna go with the Seahawks. Make Jay happy. Tato, what was your thoughts on this one?
Yep, I also went Seahawks. I was definitely hoping you'd go Cardinals on this one. This is another one where I tried to eke it out and think what would Papa do here, and I kind of was like, I wasn't sure. I thought like I was leaning towards you going Cardinals, but I do have the Seahawks. So
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. I think I know, based on some stuff that you've said recently, I think I know how you're going on this one. But our Sunday night football game, we have the Eagles traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Eagles are 3.5-point favorites. Potato, are you going with the Rams? I think
no,
you're
I
going
went
with the
Eagles.
Rams.
I
Okay.
went Eagles here. I didn't go like I said. I'm not going full yet. I might pick one or two a week and try to sneak in. But yeah, no, I think the Eagles will win this game, so I win Eagles.
Yes, the Eagles have been on a massive win streak as of late. You can say what you want if they've been playing bad teams. When they played the Saints were great. The
Meh.
Bengals, bad record, great team. They've been playing good teams. Then they beat the Commanders. Um, they're great at home. And guess what, Tato? They're playing at home, basically, because Los Angeles doesn't play home games. Um, I am very, very happy with the way Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean have been playing. The stats that they're only allowing like 15 yards a game against the top receivers in the league. Terry McLaurin, 10 yards last week. Jamar Chase had like 15 yards. CeeDee Lamb got held to like 8 yards. I'm very, very surprised they're playing as good as they've been playing. CJGJ, I'm glad. I don't care what the of the drama of when he left Philadelphia to play at the Lions. I'm glad he's back. Him and Reed Blankenship are a great secondary. It's gonna be a fun game to watch, mainly because the Eagles are gonna win. And I have no doubt in that. Eagles get the win, continue our nice little win streak, and I think we're gonna win the NFC. I'll say it again. I think we're gonna win the NFC. You say it enough, it's just gonna happen. All right, Tato. Next, we move to Monday Night Football, and we have a Harbaugh as John Harbaugh and Jim Harbaugh play each other. It's like the third time this has happened. The Ravens are traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. You get to go first on this one, Tato.
I think it's you, but whatever does not matter. Because
It is
Eagles
me,
was me.
but
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to you anyway.
All right, that's cool. I will take Harbaugh to win points, please. Thank you. I'm going with the Ravens on this one. But I've been saying all season, hey, those Harbaugh guys are really good at winning football games, so either of them could do it, obviously. I will take let's see, John one.
Yep.
Jim? Yeah, Jim knows you. John knows you. Someone.
Ravens are 3-point favorites, by the way. I did not. I should have. I did not look at what their overall record is against each other because I know they played twice. In the year that they played each other in the Super Bowl, and I
Yeah.
believe John won both of them. I could be mistaken on that, but I'm pretty sure John won both of them. But regardless, John won the more important one. He won the Super Bowl game. And it's weird because I don't know what either team is. The Ravens are a great team, but a bad defense. The Chargers are a great team, but they can't hold on to a lead. And it's like sometimes they play great, sometimes they play horrible. So who do I trust more, Lamar Jackson or Justin Herbert? I trust Lamar Jackson more. Who do I trust more, Derrick Henry or J.K. Dobbins? I trust Derrick Henry more. Who do I trust more, Zay Flowers or I can't think of his name, TCU receiver. There's a reason I can't remember his name. It's because I trust Zay Flowers more. Quentin Johnson. That's what I'm trying to think of. And I just, well, yes, the Chargers have a much better defense. I just trust the Ravens a little bit more. I think the Ravens get the win here. So that has been our predictions. Tato, very, very interesting. You got me on one, where you predicted against what I was thinking. But we are different on, I believe, two. Yep, two.
Yep.
Bears, Vikings, and then Packers, 49ers. So very interested to see if you can have a good week. Like you have had a couple times where you're able to just dig yourself out of this hole. But I don't think it's going to happen because I think I'm going to win every single game this week. I just have a feeling. But for everyone at home, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment. Tato, what should they comment this week?
FGB.
FGB. I don't know what that. Oh, hey. I know what that
Hey,
means.
yeah.
Sit and think about it for a second. FGB. All right. What about F the Bears K? There we go. Read into that what you will.
Coaching.
read into that what you will. But again, thank you so much for watching. Also, check out Tato's channel, Lights Out Trivia, where I'm going to compete one of these days because I most definitely did not compete in the Tag Team Championship. There will be Carnage tournament. But he's doing some fun, exciting stuff over there. And then make smart choices. Wash your hands and just be an overall nice person. Or don't, because I really don't care. I'm not your dad. Probably never going to meet you in person. But I'll still be your papa.